A few to check on, but I'm hopeful that we'll be okay. Yeah, confident we'll be able to name a strong team tomorrow. So a couple of checks and don't want to give too much away today, but yeah, I'm hopeful that we'll be fine.
Appreciate you don't want to give too much away, but how's Santi Bueno, especially because he had to withdraw from?
Yeah, since he's done some work on the grass, he'll travel with us, and we're hopeful that he can make it.
That's good news. Looking ahead to Fulham, how do you kind of assess where they're at now, especially compared to when you met them at Craven Cottage last season, around a similar time this season?
Yeah, no, I think they've made good progression. I think they had a very good summer. I like the signings they made. Thought they recruited very, very well. Big fan of Marco Silva's. Think he's an excellent coach. Think obviously he's had a lot of time there, but has used it very, very well. You can see there's a real good understanding and a real good style in what they do, and that it's very lined up as well. In that the players they recruit fit excellently into what they want to do. So no, an impressive little transition they've had, because I remember playing them. I was involved at Bournemouth when we played them in the Championship, and from that continue to grow and strengthen, and yeah, will be another, as the Premier League game, a real test for us.
In the summer, you mentioned there the business. They lost João Palhinha. They were able to bring in the likes of Wiki Manderson and Smith Rowe.
Yeah.
You, of course, lost some big players in the summer. Do you hope, kind of in the future, you'll be able to bring in that type of replacement and build towards that with the club?
Yeah, no, I think we are. And Wolves is a fantastic club, big club, but we're still probably where we're trying to stabilise at the moment. I think we're still in that phase where, obviously, when I came in, there was a lot to do to try and stabilise, and after that becomes the progression. But we've probably not got where we're trying to stabilise and make sure that we're in a good spot week to week. I think discussions around the progression of the club and where we look to get to will come later on. But the focus still, especially with the results that we've had at the start of the season, the focus is obviously on the short term and making sure that we're able to be competitive and pick up enough points. But hopefully in the future, that we are able to progress the club into one that, of course, we understand that if we recruit really well and we sign good young players and we turn them into top players, there is a chance that they'll leave. But when they do, are we able to then recruit ones that fit straight into their spot, that are ready to play in the Premier League week on week, is obviously where we hope to get to.
For sure. And just want to ask you about one player in particular, Andre, who went away with Brazil. How's he looking? And also, he's been on the bench the last 3 games. So what does he need to do to break into the first team again and impress you?
Yeah, he's working very hard. I think the central midfield area is one of our strongest areas. I was very impressed with him in his first few appearances. Just the job against Manchester City maybe didn't suit him quite as well, and then he ended up losing his space at half time, and from that moment we've managed to be unbeaten from putting a real good display in that game against Manchester City, and then went to Brighton, did well, played against Crystal Palace, played against Southampton. So it's just one of those moments for him. But he still works hard. He still shows his quality. He's still adapting to the difference. When you talk to him about the difference in football and the speed of the football and how it's played, it's a completely different game to what he's been used to playing. So he's still adapting to that. But he's going to be big for us. He's going to be big, and we'll use him sooner rather than later. He'll have a massive impact on the team.
If you don't mind me asking, Gary, in the Prem this week, big news with Pep Guardiola signing a new contract at Man City. Your reaction to that news, but also what kind of interactions have you had with him? Have you had a chance to talk about football, his philosophy, and what have you made of it?
Yeah, no, I've had a couple of decent chats with him. He was kind enough to invite me up. I haven't been able to get up. I haven't had time. But after a couple of times when we played against him, he's always been very open. And at some point when I get time, I'm not sure when that will be, but I will pop up for the coffee that he offered me and try and pick his brains and see how he's gone through his journey. Excellent news for the Premier League, of course, that the best manager around and potentially the best manager that has ever been is still in our league. Not so good news for the other managers that have to go up against him and his team every week. But no, I think everybody is pleased that that he remains, and that you as young aspiring coaches, you always want to go up against the best, and Pep is undoubtedly one of them. So you always look forward to those weeks where you get to test yourself against the best.
And just finally on that point, what makes him the best? What makes him so good? What has made him so good?
think he's had an impact on the game, hasn't he, globally, in the way it's played. And I don't know how accurate my thoughts are on that, but it seemed to be a transition from how the game was played in England to how it's played now around his sort of Barcelona time. When he was at Barcelona and there was a lot made of what they were doing. It seemed to move over here very, very quickly. And there could be other people that are equally as responsible, but Pep is the one that stands out in my mind for moving the game to probably where it is now. And he's obviously been unbelievably successful at every single club he's been at. So, very impressive career, obviously, and he continues it at one of the biggest clubs around.
Okay. Hi, Gary. As you mentioned, unbeaten in 3, and there was that excellent performance against Manchester City before that. The Brentford game that preceded it, how has that been the turning point, and the work that you've done since, propelled you into this bit of momentum you've got now?
Yeah, an interesting season for us so far, really, in that journey. Not the results, just the performances I was really pleased with for such a long time at the start. And I know you don't want to keep saying that because we weren't picking up enough points, but we had some tough opposition. We took Liverpool to the wire. We should have taken something off Newcastle. We were the better side of Villa for a long time. So there were some real good performances in there. And then for some reason, when we arrived at Brentford, we fell a long way below the level. In probably the first game that outside of here, people would have gone, oh, okay, you're not playing one of the big boys now. Let's see. And we fell well below the level that I felt we gave ourselves absolutely no chance of taking anything from that game with how we went about it. So a lot of work done then to try and figure out what we needed to do to give them a better chance of taking points in games. And we've tried to do that over the last few weeks, and it so far, points-wise, it's helped us. I think there's still a lot of room for improvement. And this will be a really tough test. Fulham, one of the informed sides, especially at Craven Cottage, are always a tough test. So we'll need to be excellent. But we are in a decent moment, as strange as that sounds, of where we are in the league. 5 points from 3 Premier League games is always good going, especially with the pressure that was on. The pressure that was on those 2 home games coming before the international break. To take 4 points from them was big. And we try and carry some of that momentum into the next one.
Have you got an increased resilience now, do you think? And the fact it was the first clean sheet, obviously, in a long while against Southampton, and the team seems to have shown in the last few weeks that even disappointments within the game they can come back from.
Yeah, I think we need to try and find the right blend, of course, where we do look like scoring goals. I think that's one of since I've arrived, Wolves was... The club struggled for years and years scoring goals. They were one of the lowest scorers in the league for a very, very long time. And we always look like score. Not too many games where we don't manage to score. But it's trying to find that right balance between that and making sure that we're solid enough. We don't want to take away from being an attacking team. We definitely don't want to take that away, because some of our best moments come from Mateus Cunha's freedom and getting players forward. But we do need to find a way to be solid, because obviously we suffered a big blow in the defensive area with Yerson, who was a big hope for us this year. We knew that Max Kilman would leave a sizable gap, but Yerson coming back from his loan felt like it would at least fill some of that. And then to lose him for the season, maybe we've had to have a bit more of a rethink than we anticipated to cope with some of the issues that we've faced. And we're still working very hard to make sure. I'm aware of all of these issues that we have, and working very, very hard to make sure that we fill them all as best as possible.
You've also said you were aware of the fans kind of having been on that journey with the club into Europe, and now that the club's in a different space. Mm-hmm. I guess a reminder of that time is Adama Traore and Raul Jimenez, at their peak, if you like, and they seem to have returned to that. When you've analysed the season, is that what you've found with those two in particular?
Yeah, I think really impressed with the level that some of their players have managed to reach, and I think how much stronger they can get later in games as well when they make substitutes. If Adama doesn't start, and if he starts Reece Nelson and Iwobi, Adama and Harry Wilson coming on have an unbelievable impact on football matches. The depth that they have in a lot of their areas. If it's not Jimenez's day, Munoz will come on, is excellent number 9. So that's what I mean in the recruitment and how well they've been able to line things up. Not only is their starting 11 very, very strong, but as soon as someone comes out, they just replace it like for like, and they replace it with someone that's played 150, 200 Premier League games. There's no young lads coming on for their first experiences in the Premier League at Fulham. They're a fully experienced squad. If Anderson's injured, Diop fills in. So they're a well-balanced, well-built squad. But we go there with big hopes. I think we can cause them some problems. We need to be very, very good. Of course we do. But big hopes and big focus around ourselves and trying to maintain this little run that we've managed to create from a tough spot, and an opportunity to do that tomorrow.
And with your goalkeeping position, with Sam back on the bench for the last game, is that something week to week you analyse and discuss with the group?
Yeah, I think that always with every position really. Whenever we pick the team, some of them are fairly easy. Some of them are, when they've played really well the week before, you write their name down without having to discuss it with too many. But there are discussions around other places. Sometimes that's goalkeeper. Been pleased with Jose though. I think Jose's response to Sam's arrival and his response to being left out for a few weeks has been excellent. So hopefully that can continue.
Just finally, it's been snowing here, but obviously it's the international break. Looking quite healthy with a tan. Did you manage to sort of have a bit of time off and get some sun on your back? Because it's been an intense start, I imagine.
Yeah, no, it was an intense spell, and as you can imagine, the prep for Crystal Palace and Southampton was extremely important. There was a lot of awful hard work, an awful lot of hard work that went into making sure that we were in a good spot for those. Managed to get some of the players a bit of a break. I still worked. I just managed to find somewhere warm to work for a few days, which was nice. But no, I don't really take too many days off until May. I enjoy watching football, and I enjoy working on trying to make the group better. So continued with that. But it was nice to get the lads away for a little bit. Some of them were on international, of course, but some of the lads that were here have played a lot of minutes for us. João Gomez, Mateus, been sort of mainstays in the team, played a lot of 90s. So it was good to get them a refresh, and hopefully we can take some of that freshness down to Craven Cottage tomorrow and cause Fulham some problems.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
Hello, Gary. When you're picking between goalkeepers, is it like other positions where you're looking for players to do a particular role, or are you just looking for the guy who's going to make the most saves? Are you asking different things?
No, to be honest, less so with the goalkeeper. So outfield positions, you will look at who maybe the game suits best, but less so goalkeeper-wise. Generally, who you feel is in the better form, or who you feel best helps the group, is generally how it's done. There may be some extreme circumstances where we think one is better than the other for the suited game, but it's not a position that I'd want to keep flipping. Jose is very strong from crosses. If we played a team that crossed it a lot, there could be an argument for going with Jose. Sam's maybe slightly better with his feet. If we were going to have a lot of the ball, we could put Sam in, but I think it's too extreme to keep flipping from one goalkeeper to another, just because there is a tiny difference in strengths between them.
Sure, understood. Now that you've had a clean sheet and some results are looking up, have you, studying what's happened in the first part of the season, were there any structural reasons why you were conceding so many goals, or were a lot of them just down to mistakes?
We made a lot of errors. We did make a lot of errors. There were a couple where the team shape let us down, but there was an awful lot of like avoidable. You think of the Crystal Palace goals, just sort of come out of nowhere, where nothing crossed. Jose's about to catch it. Next minute, it's in the goal. There was a few of them. The Chelsea game, similar, really, where a couple of individual errors lead to goals. But all of that's something that we have to work on. It's not something that you can just say, oh, well, it wasn't the structure, so let's forget all about that. We've worked very hard on trying to improve how well the structure can limit mistakes, because the players will be making mistakes for a reason. So we look at all of it and try and find the right balance for protection against mistakes, making sure that mistakes maybe don't end in such catastrophic circumstances. So lots of work that's gone into it, and hopefully we've started to see more solid performances. We shouldn't have conceded 2 goals against Crystal Palace, I don't think. And Southampton, we didn't look like conceding at all throughout the whole game. Jose didn't have a shot to save, which was pleasing, because we built the week. The week was built on, pretty sure if we stop Southampton scoring today, we'll find a way with Mateus and Jorgen to cause them problems. So the Southampton one was a pleasing one for us.
So is that the thing that's going to ultimately decide it this season, whether you improve defensively or not? Because you just mentioned a few minutes ago, goals is not a problem at the moment.
No, it's just obviously then how much you give up of that to protect the goal. So of course we need to find the right balance, which is with every team.
Are they obviously related? Is it not possible to be both?
Yeah, no, we could. Well,
I mean, I can imagine you can play 6 defenders, but you know what I mean. It's not.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be a pendulum, does it?
no, it doesn't. It doesn't. We need to help the boys with understanding how to defend the goal better. That's basically it, and the front players need to protect them better. So all of it, the team needs to be better out of possession is a big focus, which is why I know sometimes you'll hear me talk about Mateus because he's unbelievably talented and he wins us games on his own. But he wants me to be hard on him and he wants to improve him out of possession, and I work on it with him every single day. And that's the same with all of them. We have some real talented players, but we do have to work very, very hard to be a good team without the ball, because it's not easy. Premier League teams test you, and we need to be a good, well-organised, hard-working unit at all moments when we don't have the ball, and we're working very hard on that at the moment.
Very quickly, if I may, I've been asked about Pedro Lima to be knocking the under-21s a few weeks.
Yeah, he's missed a few weeks, hasn't he? Yeah, I don't know if he's 2 to 3 weeks in now. He rolled his ankle, came off 70 minutes, which was disappointing for him. Can't remember who it was against, but he was meant to be coming off on 75 and rolled his ankle on 70, so he's not trained for a little while. But I think he's